Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Listen, podcast listeners, I have a big update that I have to tell you about. I am changing the name of this podcast. So I want you to DM me. I want you to give me feedback, but know that the name is changing. So you're going to be looking for a different name soon. We are changing it to Jasmine and Juniper, the podcast with Arin Fugate, where we talk about everything essential to your life and your business. And what a perfect guest to bring on and launch this transition and change for 2023, other than the magnificent Maria Jansson. Maria is a transformational healer, pulling from 20 plus years of experience in various healing modalities that include rapid transformational therapy, clinical hypnotherapy. She is a breathwork facilitator, an inner child healing specialist, a trauma-sensitive HeartMath practitioner, an international speaker, and a published author. Maria helps to free women from childhood trauma so they can own their confidence and alchemize their past into inner peace, success, and abundance so they can thrive in business, life, and love. Welcome to the podcast, Maria.
Thank you, Arin, for this beautiful introduction. I'm so thrilled to be here today with you.
Yes, I can't wait to talk to you. So the listeners know I am a client of Maria's, so she has helped me to free myself from childhood trauma. And we are going to talk about how this might be able to help you. And of course, learn a little bit about her entrepreneurial journey. But as always, before we get started, let's do our icebreaker questions. So we've collected some really good snacks on this show. The first question is going to be, what's your favorite snack?
My favorite go-to quick fix snack is pistachio kernels.
Oh, yum. Yes, pistachios are so good and so fun.
I love them. And sometimes, you know, when I have these deep healing sessions, I'm like, feel really not depleted. I also feel energized, but I need something that gives me energy quickly. And like an apple or something doesn't do it. So then I grab always my pistachios.
They're so good. I love them too. And so fun if you're de-shelling them.
Yeah, well, I have some that are already de-shelled, so.
You skipped that part.
I skipped that part, but it's fun to do that too, yeah.
So this is a deeper question, helps us get to know you. If you could have coffee or tea with anyone that is still living or they've already passed this plane, who would you pick?
Well, I don't know if I could choose one. I would have a party with several ones. So I would invite Rumi. I would invite Mary Magdalene and Jesus. Not that I'm really Christian or anything, but it's such an inspiring person or being or whatever you want to call it. So these three I would invite to a party to have some conversation.
Oh, that sounds great. I feel like you would probably throw good dinner parties.
Yes, I would love that.
Okay, so we're going to dive into all this incredible experience that you have and how you can really help specifically women break through to the other side of childhood trauma. So first, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you came to this work.
Well, it's a story. It's like a lifelong explorations and healing story, basically. You know, I have a master in education, and I was teaching at the university at the master level student teachers to become teachers. But that's when I did that. That's when I felt, after I had started my own healing journey from my own childhood trauma in my 20s, with doing this work, I felt unsatisfied at some point, because I felt like there is some deeper calling and some deeper work that I'm supposed to do with people. I couldn't do that in that setting, obviously. And then along my own healing journey, I learned all these different methods, and eventually, with a lot of surrendering to the process of divine timing, let's say, I got to go out there and offer my particular healing that I can bring to people. And it was when I opened my first business that I noticed, after, I don't know, 30 years of healing, that I was, even though I had healed pain and I knew where it all comes from, I would just not put myself out there. I had a beautiful website and people would come still, but like not to that extent I needed it to have a sustainable business. So that's when I realized, well, there's still something missing in my own healing and in my toolbox, most likely too then. So I was, again, surrendering to the divine timing, and that something would cross my path. And that's when I discovered the subconscious work. And I don't want to go too deep into it right now because my answer is already pretty long. So that's what did the trick for me, like gave me this last bit that I still needed to work on. That was my beliefs. That was my beliefs about myself and the world that were stored in the subconscious mind. And that's then also what I added to my toolbox. And that overall makes the whole process of change and healing so accelerated and fast.
Right. I mean, it's that classic picture of the iceberg, and you just see the tip above the water, and so much is underneath. I think on my journey, there was a moment where I realized if I don't attend to my subconscious mind, I might as well give up right now. That's how I felt. When I really learned about it and understood, it was kind of like trying, when you have those dreams and you're running, but you feel like you're in quicksand or somebody's pulling on you.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to move forward towards my dreams when I wasn't attending to my subconscious mind. It was working against me. So do you see that with your clients? Is that kind of what it's like?
All the time, all the time I have people come to me, tell me, I've done everything. I don't know why it's still not changing or not so significantly changing. Everything we do, all these healings or therapy forms on the conscious level are super helpful and bring awareness. But what that creates is like, we have this wish, these desires, and what we want in our lives or in our business, and we work on it and we do all the things. But if we don't attend to the subconscious mind, then there are always these conflicting beliefs, because somewhere in our subconscious mind something else must be stored, otherwise it will work out all the things that we do. And that's what people tell me all the time, this feeling of stuck or being in this hamster wheel and just not getting the outcome they want. And then they are like so thrilled to have found this because it just does the job. So that's exactly how you described it.
So explain to us a little bit about the subconscious mind. I mean, there has to be a purpose, we're divinely designed, or at least that's what I believe. So why do we have this subconscious mind that goes to work to kind of keep us, it feels like it's trying to keep us stuck?
Yeah, it's like the limbic brain. And I don't go into the brain thing too much now, but it's there, even though it doesn't feel like it. Like I say this now, it's very provocative in a way. It's there to keep us safe in some way, because we form these subconscious beliefs and all of that. That's our blueprint for our life in our early years between 2 and 10, and that's when we are in this other brain state where we are so impressionable and so open to everything that comes at us that we don't filter anything. So the way we get imprinted through our conditioning, through our experiences, through everything that surrounds us basically, is then stored in our subconscious, and is, like I said, this blueprint that fuels all our decisions and all our yeah, whatever we want to do in the world. And, you know, when I say it's keeping us safe, it's like when we had experiences in our childhood that were challenging, let's say, to say the least, that these experiences created imprints in us, and at the same time we created beliefs about the world and about ourselves, because we are learning at that age, right? And if things were not safe or difficult or so, we then create all these beliefs that are trying to keep us safe. We dim our light, we don't speak our truth, we don't think we can reach whatever we want, because that was our experience, or at least that's what we started to believe. And yeah, so that's how it's then later on, even though we are not these little children anymore, is trying to keep us safe, because that's what we learned when we were younger. So that's what it always comes down to some extent.
Yeah, so I've worked with you, and what I came to work for you for was this really, it was so confusing to me because I've been successful in business. I'm good with my money. I feel like I'm financially secure, but I had this fear that the bottom was going to fall out.
Yeah.
That it just wasn't safe to feel safe, like I had to be on guard. And through my sessions with you, what was so surprising was to uncover the memories that seeded those beliefs. Because I'm not going to say that those memories were inconsequential.
No.
But I had no idea that those were the moments that I decided money was not safe or financial security was not available to me. So I'm thinking right now about someone listening who maybe is a high achiever and thinks that, you know, as long as they have their to-do list set and their schedule set and they go to work, like I've heard that before, like you just got to do the work. If you want to make your dreams come true, you just got to do the work. What would be a sign that they might be experiencing, or a symptom they might be experiencing that could be pointing towards, hey, there might be a subconscious belief here that's stopping you from your ultimate goals?
Yeah, okay, there are so many, like so many, like you, for the example you just brought, you're making money, but you never feel like it's going to be enough. It's always this hypervigilant state of I can't relax, otherwise it's gonna disappear. I have people who I have an example that's pretty cool. That woman is a successful entrepreneur, but she didn't come. She just heard about me and remembered trauma. She had all these memories from past trauma, sexual trauma come up, and she thought, okay, she needs to work with me. But what she by accident discovered as one of the outcomes, even though she was successful, even though she was putting herself out there, after this work, she was putting herself out there with a whole different energy, to a whole other degree, putting out way more offers, and she would like make so much more money, even though that was not the focus. But the trauma that she had experienced was also to some degree still dimming her light a little bit. So not showing up fully the way you think you should, or having this feeling, I don't like to do this in my business. I don't like to do videos for some reason. Why is that? Or you feel like you're putting yourself out there, but you're still not creating the income that you desire. Or you're putting yourself out there and you attract people that are not the right people, that can sustain your business, that might show that you have some money blocks or some self-worth issues, or you feel like I'm putting myself out there, but I don't know what to say, or I have not enough to say yet, or there is a fear of success in a way that you you don't attract the sales that you want or the people that you want to work with. It's like there are so many. It can show up in so many forms. Basically, if you are successful, there is this extreme price that you have to pay for it by constantly hustling, not ever being, or not often being, in this flow state where you feel it's just all happening. It gets to be easy, not without work, but it gets to be easy if we are in alignment on the conscious and subconscious level with our beliefs and our, what we are supposed to do.
It's so interesting, I want to dive into the word work, right? Because I feel like we're at a bit of a battle right now in society. There's the side of the coin that says you have to work hard, you have to hustle, you have to grind. Nothing comes easy in life. Early bird gets the worm. And then we have this other side that's like anti-hustle culture. I can just sit back, manifest, and align, and everything will come to me. And I'm wondering if there's something in the middle and how we can reframe all of this.
Yes, that's such a good observation, and how you just put it. Yeah, it's like out here, they are not connected, but they can be connected. It is work. There's no way around that. There is work. And we can manifest and attract the things that we want if we do the spiritual or manifestation work. But it doesn't come without action. Action that is fueled by our passion, by our purpose, by our flow state, by our alignment. That's what then creates the manifestations we want, because the universe can only do some part. If you're just sitting at home not doing anything, the universe, it's like we need to show up and go into action. That's the thing. And what you need to do, or what is your way of doing business, then becomes clear when you are in this flow state. And then the action that you need to do, the work that you need to do, comes from this inspired state. And I really am my own example for that. It feels so different when that is the case, other than, I should do this. So, okay, let's do this now. I'm doing this because I should, because that's the work that's needed for me to be successful. And if we can take the work, you have to grind, you have to hustle, and take the extra that's too much, that will lead to burnout, that will lead to giving ourselves over, having no boundaries and all that. If we take the too much out of that by doing the healing work, the subconscious healing work, and then leaning back, thinking, it will all happen. I just have to do my affirmations, let's say, and add a little bit to that, the action that we are maybe not doing because we are wanting to avoid that, because we have some deeper healing to do, that, and then we can bring them both together. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I think for me, what I've noticed is I used to live in the grind place. Work, grind. Like if I wasn't, then somehow I wasn't worthy of this. And what I'm learning now is it's kind of like your central nervous system. Like I have to go back and forth between the two a little bit, like fine tune it. I just came through a week of feeling like I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to post on social media. I didn't want to do anything in my work. And I surrendered to that. And what I discovered was this whole realization about the name of my podcast needed to change. And the only reason I was able to come to that was because I did give myself permission to kind of like swing to the side of not doing anything. So I feel like there needs to be this nimble aspect for a sensitive, intuitive business owner to know that there is a time to grind. But if you've done the alignment work, grinding will feel fun and it won't burn you out.
Exactly. That's so important what you just shared, because especially when we are intuitive and sensitive, we have a different rhythm of how things flow and how we flow, and to allow ourselves, and at the same time trust the business will not fall apart if I don't post a week. That then we get our inspiration. Like, you got this, it was necessary for you to slow down, to have the inspiration. Oh, I need to change my name. And that's only possible if we have the trust. We can also swing to that side and just don't work and trust that everything is fine because you have done the work. And then we can go back to working. But it's always the too much if we just say, okay, I'm just sitting there and don't work and it will all happen. Or if we think we need to hustle all the time, that creates the friction that can prevent success or bring success with this huge price. So what you just said just speaks to all the work that you have done on yourself, that you were able to do that and to allow that swing to happen and to trust. And there was, the inspiration came.
So this brings me to, I want to recognize, because I've been in this place, what it then feels like to be in a situation where you're struggling financially. There's a lot of pressure on you.
Mm-hmm.
And you've decided you want to be this entrepreneur and start this business.
Mm-hmm.
And I can hear that person because I used to be that person. So let's speak to them. They're like, I have to grind. I have no choice but to grind. How do you guide that person?
Okay, I would say, yes, you are absolutely right. If you want to create a business, it needs work. It doesn't happen automatically just by not doing anything. But I just had a conversation this morning with someone. This person doesn't have the money right now to invest because her business is not making money. And at the same time, she wanted the change because she felt like, yeah, I'm doing all the work and I'm grinding, but it's not happening to the extent I wanted to happen. And that's where I always then say, yeah, that's where the work is needed. If it as we said before, it gets to be not easy in a way that we don't have to work, but if the work that we do leads to burnout, leads to feeling depleted, overgiving, or not the success or income that we want, then there's something to do. So I would talk to this person. I mean, if this person would be on a call with me, there would be a reason why they did that. So yes, the work is necessary. And those people who have this attitude and this, willingness to do that are the people you can work with the easiest, because they are really willing to put in the work on all levels. So, but I always think it gets to be from a state of flow, from this feeling of ease. That doesn't mean that you don't have to do like things that we don't like to do, or the administrative work, or whatever it might be for everybody. But there gets to be an and. It is work, and it can be from this feeling of flow and alignment and inspirational state. Yeah, so that's what I would probably say.
I love that advice. It's also reminding me that when I was on food stamps and couldn't, barely had money to pay rent and eat, yet I decided to go start a business, which maybe wasn't the best idea, but it was what the universe placed in front of my lap. There are times when I miss that hunger. Mm-hmm. Because that hunger can be inspiring for some. It was inspiring for me. And of course, there's moments where it's too much and the stress is too much, but there is, I'm curious about your thoughts about this, something magical about wanting a change so bad that you're willing to do whatever it takes to make that change.
Yeah, I would say people who have this desire to go out and create change in the world, however it might look. This is just showing that you are coming with this inspiration from a deeper level. Like that's how it was for me. I mean, I had so many roadblocks. I also raised 3 kids and I was on my own for a long time. And so but it wouldn't go away, this deeper feeling of I'm supposed to do this. That was my fuel, and that was why I was willing to come to the US, for example, give up all my whole life in Germany, and with no security in the background, this super safe job and everything, because I had this fuel on this deeper level, and I am doing what I'm supposed to do. I know this. And it was always like, if I'm at the end, I mean, I say this now, I don't know what people believe who are listening to your podcast, but for me, it was like, if I'm at the end of my life and I see myself in the mirror, I would not feel that I had achieved one big thing that I wanted to do in this lifetime. So if people are having this desire to change, that always shows that you are on the right path. You are on the right track. Otherwise, you wouldn't feel this yearning for change.
No. Yeah, in some ways, I wish I could go back in time and have a session with you right as I was starting my business.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine, right? So just if anyone's listening and you've gotten it on your heart to do something, whether it's start a business, maybe it's you're looking for your soulmate, maybe it's you have a passion project or philanthropy, maybe you want to write a book. I mean, I don't know, whatever that dream is on your heart, and you're listening to this show, have a call with Maria, because I mean it. If I could go back in time and lay that groundwork, wow, it would be so cool to see what I would have been able to uncover, what foundation I could have built. And then, of course, if you're further along on your path, it's perfect too, because it's when we're ready, the teacher shows up. Healing and transformation is like this layering process.
Yeah, exactly. I have worked with several women who had this desire to go out and make their thing happen, but they could almost not speak about it, or they would just not take the action to do that. Or yeah, so it's fun to see these women blossom them in, and I also have intuitive gifts. So when I talk with people, I can feel their purpose in them. I can feel what they are supposed to do and how they are supposed to go out there. And it's so, oh my gosh, it's so rewarding to see it happen. And also, as you said, people that are already on their journey, there is always more work to do. And at some point, if you have done the deep subconscious healing work, it might not be this big healing of trauma, but there are always more layers, and it goes way faster then, because expansion doesn't stop. Our potential expands as we expand. So, and I wouldn't say then that it's like this deep healing work that needs to be done at some point. It's more the growing work. We want to grow, and then there's the next layer that shows itself in the process. If we are open to listening and feeling into, okay, where is it not flowing? Where does it seem difficult? That's always an indicator, okay, there might be something to do. Some work that needs to be done. Yeah.
So this is my final question for you today, but I hear this a lot, and it's even come up for myself. And it's this idea that, well, I didn't have trauma.
Oh, right.
What happened to me wasn't that bad. So I don't need any trauma healing. Can you help us understand, I guess, the levels of trauma and how you know if you had trauma?
Yeah, so you don't need to, first of all, you don't need to know that you had trauma. We all have trauma. There's this classic distinction between big trauma, big car accident, big sexual abuse, and all these kinds of things. And then there's the small trauma. For me, trauma is anything, and we can't know that because it happens in the subconscious mind. It's anything that was a little bit too much or overwhelming at the time when we experienced it, and we couldn't digest it, we couldn't feel it. There was no person with us to hold us in this emotional state that we were in and that we would have had to express, let's say it. And that's when we create those beliefs. So that's when trauma happens. But the main thing that I learned, and that was really eye-opening for me, and also so important to my work today, is it's actually the meaning that you create from those experiences, which is the beliefs that you create from those experiences. Because there are people who have like sexual abuse or difficult car accidents or whatever, and one person is able to thrive in business and the other person is not. So it's also about the meaning that you give it. And I can tell you, everybody has some sort of trauma, undigested emotion, let's say, that created convictions and beliefs that are now holding you back. Everybody has that. And I say this like you said it in the beginning, I'm helping women heal their childhood trauma. I work a lot with women with a lot of childhood trauma, with these big things also, because that's what I naturally attracted, because that's what I've gone through. And I have this capacities to hold the space for people with big things, and not get triggered myself, because I have had that myself. But I'm working with people who say, I don't have trauma. And they then are so surprised what comes up in those sessions, that this little thing created this kind of outcome. It's like so surprising to them. And yeah, and it's all, you can all change it.
So this is accessible to anyone. You don't have to feel like, oh, I didn't have some big event, so I can't benefit from this work. I feel like anyone who's willing or has the desire could benefit from the work you offer.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Is there someone who are like, nope, this isn't the right work for you?
Yeah, people who are not having this, who don't have this desire, who don't feel there's something keeping them stuck or in repetitive patterns or loops, and people who are not willing to put the work into it. You know, you have to be ready for it. You have to feel, I want change and I'm ready for it. That's really the minimum that you need. And of course, people who don't have the financial means to pay for it. But, you know, if you feel there, I want change, something is holding me back, like, let's say that simple, then you are the right candidate.
So tell us, how does somebody learn more about you? We have wonderful links and gifts in the show notes, but what would you recommend the first thing someone do if they want to go learn more, if they want to work with you? Where should they go first?
They can go on Facebook, of course, but the direct path is my website, maria-jansson.com. And on there, you find a link to schedule a call with me. And I offer these 30 minutes free, no strings attached calls with people who are interested, who have questions, who feel they could benefit from it. And then we can just talk about it. I do that with everybody who wants to do this deep work. And yeah, it's always a great way to connect and see if we are a good fit.
Yeah, and I love your guided meditation. So I think you put an audio in there to rapidly gain confidence and overcome your limiting beliefs. So if you go to Maria's website, you can get that free audio, and that would be so good to do.
Yes, and I also have a self-sabotage guide and an abundance alchemy guide that's free and available, but that's not on my website yet. So I think when you have the links in the bottom here, there should be the links for that too.
Yes, it'll all be in the show notes.
Yeah.
And so if you all know me, you know that I love essential oils. So we cannot have an episode without me bringing in a little essential oil tip. So I'm going to help Maria. I'm going to give you a little pre-aromatherapy work to do before you go see her. Lemongrass is the essential oil of starting your healing so that you can find your true path. And rosemary is also going to help to open you up to what's possible for you. So if you have essential oils in your life, I invite you to get your lemongrass and your rosemary. You can put it in your diffuser. You can apply it to the bottom of your feet. You can just meditate with the aroma and allow that plant medicine to help you to open up to the possibilities and start that healing process. All right, my dear. Thank you so much for being with us today and teaching us about what you do and all the incredible ways that attending to the subconscious mind can help us on our path. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed our conversation.
And to the listeners, if you thought of someone while you were listening to this episode, please take a screenshot and share it with them. While you're at it, tag me on Instagram, Jasmine and Juniper Living. And you can also find Maria on Instagram at Maria Jansson _therapy_coaching. We want to hear from you. Send us a DM, tell us what you thought about the episode. And of course, if you like this podcast and you want to support it, the best way to do that is to give me a 5-star rating on Apple and just a 5-star rating over on Spotify. I would be so appreciative. It will help so much. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I cannot wait to talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.